anybody jumps on, they can jump in with us. So I'll call the meeting to order for Wednesday, March 13th, 6 o'clock. First order of business is roll call. Chelsea, you want to do a quick roll call for us?
Hey, Alex.
Here.
Ryan.
Present.
David. Do not have him yet. Dawn.
Present.
And Kimberly is joining us. She just jumped on. Peck. We do not have Peck yet. Will.
Present.
And Lori. Perfect.
And I see Kim has joined us.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, good to see you, Kim. Okay, next is public comment. Do we have any public to make a comment? No, all righty. In that case, consent agenda. So everybody had a chance to review the minutes of January and February. I think we can capture this in one motion. It can either be a motion to approve January and February minutes or just to approve consent agenda.
A motion to approve January and February meeting minutes as stated.
I will second that.
Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 David, good to see you.
Thank you.
Sorry, you probably hear my dog barking in the background.
Oh, I've got 3 of them myself that's going to be trying to go off on me. So,
All right. New business. Spoke and Wheel. Rochelle, you want to introduce?
Yes, I'd be happy to welcome Jason Williams to the meeting. And he is working with, and I believe John's going to do a more in-depth introduction, but Jason is with Spoke and Wheel, and he's been helping us with our branding for the action sport element of Cedar Park. And once again, John Wallace is taking the lead on this very, very important project. And I have to say, not to steal his thunder, but we've been having a really, really good time going back and forth about the branding element. It's an important thing, and we put a lot of trust into Spoke and Wheel, and so far I've been extremely impressed. They've taken feedback, they pivot quickly, they are timely. So I just want to say thank you, Jason. But with that, I'm going to toss it over to John. And John, it's all you.
All righty. Yeah, I'd like to echo everything Rochelle said, but I have this beautiful introduction that I'm just going to read verbatim to give you a little background on Jason. Jason Williams is the creative director for American Ramp Company. He's been with ARC for over 11 years. He graduated from MSSU in 2008 with a bachelor's degree in graphic communications, as well as a bachelor's degree in studio art. And over the past several years, Jason and the creative division at American Ramp Company have created numerous visual brands for skate parks, bike parks, pump tracks all over the US. Jason's going to be sticking around to answer any questions of the technical aspects of kind of the branding, what's going on, and I'm sure he'll introduce himself a little bit more. But just wanted to welcome here and thank him for working so hard with his team. I also want to mention someone named Brock Wagner, one of his partners in this, who couldn't be here this evening, but another part of his team who's worked really hard on this really fun, creative aspect of the branding for the skate park pump track design itself. So just for a little bit of background before we kind of kick into the fun stuff, one of the goals specifically at Cedar Park is the skate park, the pump track, and the bike line, and this idea of it being an economic driver and a regional draw for people around the community. And so with that in mind, our team decided we really wanted something that spoke specifically to that element itself. And so when we're kicking around these ideas, we wanted something catchy, something, I don't know, kind of like a little more maybe like aggressive that spoke specifically to that element that we have goals of hosting events at and competitions at and want people to come. While we love Cedar Park, we've got 2 esteemed members of that park naming team on this board, we wanted to also call out the action sports complex itself as well. And so our idea was, could we have something at Cedar Park that spoke to it? And so we met with Jason and Brock, and then Maddie, who you've met before from ARC, to kind of kick off this idea of how do we brand that? How do we go about creating this marketing element? And our first step was really just a brainstorm session interdepartmentally. What kind of names and ideas would capture the essence of this skate park, but still ring true to what Sandy is? And we created we had a huge Post-it note on my door, like a 3-foot by 3-foot Post-it note. And it was just start coming up with ideas, start doing research. And we came up with a list of about 40 that we thought actually made sense. And then we did an internal vote where we put it on a spreadsheet and talked about what our favorite ones were. And then we came up with about 10 ideas. And then we pitched those to Jason and Brock and whittled it down with their kind of creative knowledge and brain, what they think could really speak to this area and to their creative ideas. From there, we came up with 3 ideas. It was steelhead, kind of paying homage to like the fish at the river. And we kind of like the idea if you're skating on a skate park, having a steelhead or a helmet, there was some cool nuance there. Just the yard, right? Hey, we're gonna go, before we go up to Mount Hood, we're gonna session the yard and hit that up. Kind of this clever, fun name that skaters and bikers could say. And then the last one was base camp. A lot of times people use Sandy as kind of the last stop, their last town on the way up to the mountain. And so we thought base camp kind of rung true for what this area is, what it can be in regards to the mountain here, but also a cool camp out spot for skaters and bikers to come do their thing. And from there, we kind of whittled those 3 ideas and concepts down to one where we stuck with base camp as our name. And then from there, Jason and Brock took those ideas and kind of ran with a few different logos, concepts, pictures, and ideas that we're going to present to you today. And then you'll get to see them, ask questions. We'll answer some of those questions. But really the goal for today is to see the designs, pick your brain, ask questions, and really see if there's a preferred concept from the board. Is there ones that ring true to you, that stand out, where you have some thoughts about it? Any questions about kind of like the background and context or Jason and Brock's role in this? Don't think so. So I'm going to share my screen to what I kind of have geeked out about, which is some of the design elements of what this could look like that I think pay homage to this cool idea of base camp, but still ring true to our Sandy style and design. So here we go. Let me know if you guys can see this screen. I see a thumbs up. We're good to go. So the first thing I want to say is that there's going to be 5 options, A, B, C, D. Maybe there's 4 options. I can't remember. We'll go through them. Each option is kind of like this whole package. So you're going to see option A goes all the way down to here. Thing within this package. So if you liked option A, you would get like your main graphic here, some of these smaller kind of like stickers or patches. Everything is encompassed in one kind of uniform package. So really, I'll just kind of like scroll through it. Brock, Jason, I mean, if you wanted to at any time jump in here and talk about anything that you feel like I'm missing or speak to it, feel free. But I'm assuming there's going to be some questions that I'll kind of let you take over at that point as well.
Yeah, I'd say if there's anything that comes up that you need clarification on, or if anybody else has questions on, I'd be happy to answer and elaborate on some of those.
Cool. So for option A, you can see kind of like the crank of what a bike would be. You can see some chain elements of a bike, plus the outline of a skateboard. And part of the circle itself kind of represents like the skateboard wheel. So really encapsulating kind of like both and all elements of wheels and boards and bikes that would be there to recreate in this cool spot. And then we kept this with our sandy styled colors and our sandy style font to still ring true to what we have here. All right, I'm going to go down to option B, which is very similar, just with a little updated font. Same kind of crank and chain idea. The chain encompassing the middle part of the circle instead of on the ends here. The font is different. I like the font. Me personally, I think it kind of embodies the look of like a ramp or a skateboard with like this swoopy, kind of resembles the nose and the tail of a skateboard. And then one of the highlights, at least for me, is I love these like little patches down here, the B and the C. I can see that for me kind of clearly being like on a hat or a sticker, something that could be rebranded, easily passed out, something accessible. Both things seem pretty timeless. Like they seem like they could fit in for a while. Questions before we go on to C? Both of these options, A and B, kind of use our main color schemes in our Sandy style branding guide. What I like about this next one a lot is that these are still Sandy colors. They're just not our primary colors that we use, but we took like our non-primary colors and kind of made them primary for this component of the marketing material. One of the things that you couldn't see on the last one, which I love in this poster, is like the really faded out B and C that goes behind it. But a little different, but still within our guide. But other than that, it is the same as B. Option D, super similar, going back kind of to that first one. Chains on the side, the stickers here. I love the teal in the wheel. Again, similar to the other B and C. I can see that on the front of a hat or a sticker or a logo on the side of a shirt.
I might jump in on this one.
Yeah, please do.
On D and say one of the probably big differences with this is the change in the typeface or the font, if you will, is using those same exact typefaces that Sandy already uses for the city branding. That was kind of one of the big differences there between the ones above.
Specifically this one. This one was similar, but not the exact font. Yeah.
Actually, I think Brock used the Sandy font. It's the name of it's like Brother 1816 if you want to start using it on your computer. But yeah, so it is the exact same font as that first one. And then, yep, you're right. The colors are a little bit more pulled apart on this one. So one thing that we really recognized with the Sandy colors, there's not a lot of heavy darks versus heavy lights when you go through the branding guideline. So Brock added, I don't remember what percentage he told me, maybe like 30 or 40% black to the blue that comes from the Sandy branding to create that darker blue on this one, which kind of fundamentally, or in some of like the design world, some of these rules that you create of you can and cannot do things with certain branding for any company or organization, there are ways to enhance some of that color aspect. So, a lot of times it's, there is an approval for, hey, we can do a darker color or lighten it up, and it still is within that same hue of color. So this one I feel like this one kind of pops more versus I think it was the very first option.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. The blue here around the board, and especially if
Exactly.
you're looking at this one right here, you can see how adding the contrasting darkness makes that jump out.
Yep, for sure.
All right, thanks for the clarification on that.
Yeah.
All right, and then option E, we're going to switch it up on you a little bit. We're going a different direction here. Nope, I am lying. This is the same same color scheme where they darkened that hue, but went
Yep.
back and matched the lighter hue before, right? So it's got the not sandy font with like the curved emblems, but with the darker hue. And now I don't think I'm jumping the gun. The next one you're going to see is going to be a whole different kind of concept, keeping the same name, same colors at heart. I want to zoom in on this one a little bit because one of the things that I love once you can get it a little bigger is the topographical map aspect that sits behind the font and the lettering. Speaking of like Mount Hood and base camp and understanding elevation, I think it plays into the heart and soul of Sandy and what we're about, but doing it in a pretty unique, interesting way. Here's some other color components of it. And then that comes with their own icon package as well, with like the B and the C still together, but playing off the like rectangular geometrical shapes of it. Zoom back out a little bit. So I guess at this time is if you guys have questions, want to go back and see one of the options A, B, C, D, E, or F, ask Jason questions, ask Rochelle or myself or anyone else questions. Just kind of open it up for comments and some feedback and see if there is a consensus or a majority of like, hey, we really like this one or we like these preferred parts of it.
I got a question.
Shoot.
How come we didn't throw this out to the community and have something maybe original designed by involving the community? That this just seems like it'd be something that the community could have been involved in and designed some kind of logo for and gave them parameters, you know, like to use the word base camp or to use bicycle images or something and had something original drawn and actually involved the community to this.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I will answer part of it. And Rochelle, feel free to jump in here and add on more. So this design is just a small aspect of what Spoken Wheel is going to do as far as the marketing and branding. They're going to come into Sandy and there's going to be like video and interviews and the rollout of the ramp itself and the packaging of how we put this together. The logo and the design is one aspect and a greater package of what the Spoken Wheel team will do to help us brand and market and do videos and pictures to get this skate park pump track out there. Michelle, did you want to jump in, add on to that at all?
No, you made the point that I was going to, other than the other thing is we're responding to you know, when we involved the public was the naming of the park. And so this was bringing in that aspect of a, you know, professional consultant that brings in the whole package that's going to be a start to finish branding for what will be a regional draw for our action sports elements. But did that answer your question, David?
It did, yeah. I mean, I think we could have gone a lot more and had the community more involved, but and still gone with the professional branding and stuff like that and just, you know, had Spoken Wheel help with that. But I mean, yeah, I think the community needs to be more involved in a pump track and skate park. I mean, in my opinion, it doesn't need a lot of advertising because word of mouth is going to get out before anything. I mean, word of mouth got out about the Portland one before they even advertised about it, the one down by the Max track. So, I mean, it was all the way out here in Sandy before, you know, half of Portland knew about it. So, I mean, that's my personal opinion, though.
Yeah, thank you.
John,
There's,
could you go up? Oh, sorry, Don. John,
No,
could you
no,
go up? Could you go up to either C or D, please?
This one is C. Was it the
Oh, sorry, no.
This one's D.
That
It's the
one,
one
yeah.
that's
So I'm
dark
gonna,
and subdued,
I'm
yeah.
gonna diverge from your opinion. And thank you for that. I respect everything you do. I like simpler better. I thought the one that was similar to this was too busy, with the extra chain around it. It just looked, I mean, I love this, especially the very first primary view. I think that's amazing. And I think you're right. It gets the elements of the wheel and the spoke and, everything else, but I just thought the other one was too busy. And secondly, I actually like the font better. I thought the other one was too, I don't know. I can't wrap a word around it. It was too fancy for us. We're just not fancy, John. We're just, a small town with a big skate park, and we need to make solid statements. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I can be fancy.
I know. Well, I can't. That's the problem.
No, great points.
Who else? Who else has a comment?
Hey, John, can you jump back between E and B? I think those are the ones that had the same font or the same color scheme, but then they had like the different font, correct? Is that right?
Did you say E and B?
Yeah. Isn't that correct? Doesn't that like have like the different font? Like the new font is
Yeah. So this
But then-
is soup. Yep. So here's B, which is the color scheme exactly as is with the font that's a little different, the fancy font, if you will.
the fancy font, yeah.
Yes. And then E will be the same thing with the darker hue to our sandy color.
Okay. See, I'm sorry, I might be a little fancy for you, Will, but I like the ramp idea. Like I like how it ties in with the ramps and like it kind of like is, I think it kind of looks kind of cool, to be honest. Like, and I don't mind the extra chain around it either because I think that just kind of like ties into like the whole package. But I mean, we all have different opinions, and I like E preferably. Like I like the color scheme a little bit more pop than the original from B. But I like that font that Will is not happy with. Just kidding.
I'd compromise the font for the chain. How's that?
Ooh, there we go.
So Don, if you don't mind, I'll chime in real quick because Kim and I have been chatting in the chat, so I don't think anybody's reading it.
Oh, sorry.
So no, it's all good. Kim had a good comment about how the nostalgia felt about option E, so that was cool. And then I did write, I actually like option C, funny enough. I love the reds. I think that's cool. I think that like I went, whoa. So I thought that was pretty cool. It'd be very original for a skate park. I think that, we don't have to have the exact colors that Sandy goes for all the time. I think that gives it its own character in some way. So I like that. And I like the font specifically for the ramp call out, Ryan as well. Yeah, Kim says that she likes C as well. Wasn't a huge fan of A or B because of the lack of pop of the colors. And then I even said something like, could you do A with C's colors? So that's a possible thing that you could try. Because I like I like simple too. So like simple would be cool, but I really like those other pops of colors because I feel like it was kind of same old kind of feel to it, and if we're trying to be original maybe and pulling people out, it would give people a really draw attention. So anyway, I think that's all the comments I think we wrote.
Yeah, thanks for keeping us eyes on the chat too. Appreciate that.
No worries.
With what we have to choose from, option C is also my go-to.
Sorry, Kim, I think you're
I was just gonna say that I thought of one more thing that I'd like to say about the last one. I think it's E. The topo map, like I follow a lot of people in the outdoor industries and have a lot of friends that ski and snowboard. I don't necessarily do that, but topo maps on apparel, on branding of any kind is really, really hot right now. So yeah, they are really cool. And I just think it also ties back in with that base camp idea really well. So that's just my opinion on it.
I agree, Kim. I see a lot of kids like gravitate towards like if you were to make a hoodie and stuff like that was on there, I want that so bad. At least that's what I hear my son saying and others. So there you go.
I'll put my 2 cents in. I like F. I also like the other one, the off color one, which was that the D
C.
or C?
Like the reds and yellow,
That one there.
orange.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. The one thing that kind of jumps out to me, not that I've ever had any of their products, but isn't Base Camp a brewery also? And is that a copyright concern that we have to worry about?
Great question. There is a brewery in Portland called Base Camp Brewery. When we talked about that idea, we did not get into the copyright thing of it. It was mentioned, but it did open up a further discussion for us if there was any ever down the future partnership ideas, having a Base Camp Brew kind of sponsor an event. But that is something we will probably making a note of right now. I don't know if Rochelle or Jason, if you have any deeper knowledge on that question.
I think they're permanently closed, Base Camp. I don't think they exist anymore.
Well,
I think that's right.
All I see is a food truck.
Well, then we better copyright that, huh?
Fair enough. And we'll have to find someone else to partner with to build us a Base Camp Brew then. Someone local.
This is genuinely a question that I don't know if we can answer, but would be interesting is can you patent or like the word Base Camp? I suppose, is that even, I don't know the answer to that, but I suppose can anybody ever use the word Base Camp once you say that's ours?
I think that's a lawyer kind of question, but
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I might jump in here and say one thing is like, I think whatever you land on, you could register it as a registered trademark. And so if you had anybody beyond establishing that, if they did something that was a logo or any kind of branding that either emulated or was a complete knockoff of Base Camp Action Sports Park, you could pursue legal action or a stop and a cease kind of thing. But I think you definitely could do a registered trademark. Like say copywriting words, I think is a little bit outside of my domain.
Well, and I'm not sure, when I said that, I'm not sure I was using the proper term.
No, yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I've seen it use other products too. I mean, there's a project management software called Basecamp. It doesn't have a space in it. There's an electric skateboard called Basecamp with the space. I mean, it's the gym upstairs at the Mount Hood Athletic Club where the elite go with their fancy letters.
Yes. The exercise in their Base Camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of my understanding, that this wasn't like a chain restaurant that we're taking over. It is just a word of a geographical location, like a phenomenon that exists.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what we're talking about, but definitely worthy into looking into. And I can follow up on that and send you that information once I find it. But I think we're okay.
So do we need to add a little small font down the bottom that says at Cedar Park, Base Camp at Cedar Park?
Just throw an umlaut in.
I like it. I think it looks great. I think they all look good, actually. And I think the concept is really good. And it'd be nice if we could attract some kind of a private business to join in with us there and operate a nice little brew pub or something along that line.
That would be awesome. We've kicked around that idea many times, but for now we can contract with some vendors and some food trucks and get stuff there temporarily when we start hosting these big events there. So, but the future is bright for this area, I think. Does anyone have any other questions for Jason while we have him? Even part of the process or about his life's journey?
Yeah. Ask that question.
I don't see any.
Perfect. Well, I just want to speak on behalf of the Parks and Rec Department that it's been super fun working with you, and I look forward to continue working with you, especially when we go down the line and start shooting some videos and doing interviews and continuing the marketing. So thanks for taking your time today, Jason. We really appreciate you, the work you put
Oh,
into
absolutely.
this.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
And if I can just quickly jump in, just synthesize kind of what I'm hearing the group say, because the next step will be bringing this to council. Obviously, we want their input, and we gave you quite a bit of options to chew on tonight. But what I'm hearing is the group, and again, interrupt if I'm missing bits and pieces of this, but it sounds like the group is excited about the colors of option C. Is that correct? Okay. And we like the colors. If we do a blue and green, the ones that pop. I think that was this one here, option D. Was there strong feelings one way or the other about the font? No strong feelings? Okay, because ideally what we'll probably do is combine all of these into two that we would take before the council. I guess my question for the group is, how strongly does the group feel about option, the final option, this one here with F, as far as the topo's cool? Is this something that we like enough that we should send to the council to provide their feedback in? Should we see if we can and Jason, this is your expertise. Is there a way to incorporate the topographic portion of it if that's what the group likes? But just wanting to make sure that I represent what we bring forward as representative of what this group likes.
I personally think that including option F is a good thing to do because it's so much different than the other ones, and I think that it really would make a rather striking graphic on a sweatshirt with the topo map elements in there.
John, could you scroll down a little, please? I just want to see this.
Do you want the patches too?
Yeah, thank you. That's cool on a hat. That's really cool on a hat.
Jason, how does it work for creatively? Would you be able to have two options in the different colors? Like, would this be able to be in the color that
In the fall festival colors?
Yes.
Absolutely. I think we could do that. Yeah, that's, to me, that doesn't seem like it's a impossible thing to do. I might be shooting myself in the foot here, but when you look at the topographic lines, where is that, right? Like it's very generic. It has nothing to do with Sandy. I looked online, where you guys are located is definitely outside of that Hood Mountain kind of area, far enough away that you're not getting a ton of like elevation change. And so I would be open to the idea of, if you guys are interested in, we could try to capture some of the topography lines from the, Mount Hood area and then put them in here versus it being just random topography. That would be one suggestion that I could see would make a lot more sense outside of the whole color. The thing too with, if you look at those other options, I've kind of tried to explain this to a couple other customers that we've had, and the brown and the orange color scheme that Brock had put together there based off of, what you guys have in the guideline, it's almost like you have the exact same logo there, and same exact elements as you do with the blue and green. So I don't think there's anyone saying you have to completely stick to these colors 365 days a week. You definitely have an open door to use those two different color schemes at different times, as long as you feel like it's still within the same brand and still contained in that manner. But if you guys are really drawn to, these warm colors, then I'm all game for it.
Jason, not to go too detailed, and I could send you something too. There's a 90-degree bend in the Sandy River, which lays just below this park with a pretty dramatic drop. I
Cool.
could get you the topo of that, and that's Sandy's really at the crux. This park's right at the elbow of that river. So
That'd be awesome. Yeah. I mean, and I think, yeah, that would be a great
at least see
addition.
how it looks.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, and I was
Well,
gonna say, we could take
I
a
was
look
thinking
at,
the same
oh,
thing.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking the same area too. Will would look really
Yeah.
cool on topo.
And I think we already have, and I don't know how drastic it is, but you can scale it down or not. The part of the park project for Cedar Park itself is that we had to get that. We have topo lines there. So taking the park itself where it actually sits, connecting down with the trail that actually connects to the Sandy River and having it be super local, not just Mount Hood, if it could play into that, would be pretty cool.
And Jason, thank you. That's really insightful as far as like we could have the same logo, but in different color schemes.
Yep.
I think that's a fantastic idea unless people feel strongly otherwise. But you know, like you call them fall colors, maybe we do like a release of fall colors on apparel and you know, keep some of those blues and greens for the winter, spring kind of thing. But I think that's great. And if the group agrees, I think that's a good way that it offers us the diversity of because I really liked C, and I thought I was the only one for a while with the and so I was really pleased to hear I loved seeing our other color schemes on something. So thank you, Parks Board.
Yeah, I would chime in real quick too and say, yeah, like, you know, you guys might see a lot of the blues and greens because that is like the traditional color that your Sandy logo carries. I was really surprised whenever we got the branding guideline over to us that there was also like this other warm family underneath there that it's part of the package, but you know, it's kind of that curiosity is like, is it kind of underutilized or, you know, what's going on with these colors? So, you know, I know Brock built this one. And so I think it's awesome that he was, you know, thinking in his head, like, hey, see what you guys think about this other option too.
Perfect. And Jason, maybe we can connect tomorrow. I can shoot you an email and kind of talk about what you're doing. If there is a way to kind of say option C, or it'll be two options now. It'd be like option A, this logo, these colors, and also an option A is the same logo, but the more blue and turquoise color. And there's your first option. And then option 2 would be the topo map with the traditional Sandy colors, along with the topo map and those fall colors as well. And so when we take that to council, it's here's your two packages with all of our colors represented in them. And then where do we go from there?
Yep. And I think if you want to, if we can, you know, if Will wants to try to help us with some of that kind of more, you know, I guess I lost my word here, but yeah, like the specific topography stuff there in Sandy, that'd be awesome too.
Yeah, I'll do two views. One of the park, or we'll get one of the park ground, and then we'll do one of the river nook, and yeah, see what you guys think.
Perfect. And I'll connect with Will too and be able to get that stuff back to you as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that was very productive and fun. So thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody. And let's unless there's, you guys gotten everything you need, John?
Yeah, I believe so with this. I'm going to stop sharing because I think Deer Point's up next on the agenda, right?
Yes. So Rochelle, ready to talk about Deer Point?
I would love to. Yes. Okay. So tonight we're going to continue the conversation about Deer Point Park, the concept and design. And I just wanted to provide a reminder to the group that we did meet in January and again in February of this year to receive the feedback from the Parks Board about the design of the Deer Point Park concept. So at the last meeting in February, the Parks Board reviewed 3 options and provided input. Since that meeting, Lango Hansen has evaluated the feedback that's received from the Parks Board. And then we had, on March 4th, we presented to the council with some of that information that was provided by the Parks Board. The council reviewed the 3 options, and overall, the council was excited about the project and the concepts. We discussed briefly pickleball, and there was mixed feelings regarding pickleball, and then there was a strong desire to explore the idea of a covered basketball court. But we're going to have Lango Hansen expand a little bit about that. And then after the feedback from council, Lango Hansen and the staff, we hosted a open house on March 6th. We had about 20 participants, so we were pleased with the turnout, and several neighbors that attended and provided their feedback. So that was great to hear from some neighbors of the park. And tonight, Lango Hansen's here to review the progress to date, provide an update for what the council discussed, go over some feedback from the open house. And just a reminder, we are in the phase of concept refinement. So tonight we'll take additional feedback and comments after Lango Hansen has provided a presentation. And then we are scheduled to go back to council again, and then another open house April 18th. So busy. But with that, Kurt, Carly, and Brian, thank you again for taking your time out of your evening to be here with us tonight. And I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Rochelle. Yeah, it's appreciate that recap of our last couple of meetings, and I'll share my screen here. Again, I guess, yeah, last time, probably don't forget that we were together on Valentine's Day. So here we are on a nice sunny evening. I'll try not to take too much of your time. I don't know how we can plan accordingly in the future, but we'll keep that in mind. So just a couple of talking points tonight to go through, as Rochelle mentioned, recapping the meeting, the council meeting last Monday, the open house this last Wednesday, the public open house. Touch on how some of that information leads to some site plan refinements briefly. Have a discussion about some play area concepts, get some feedback on that. And lastly, just touch base on the project schedule, an update on that for you all. As you'll remember, we presented to this group and then to council and to the public 3 different site plan options. And I won't go into the details again of each of these, but just show them in front of this group. Really just trying to provide really distinct options for the different layout, the walking path experience, the location of the amenities, sport court, play area, and shelter, and the amount of just open space provided in each of these. So we, in meeting with council last Monday, got some really good feedback from them. As Rochelle mentioned, there was this desire from several members to consider basketball courts in this location, with the idea being that pickleball, maybe that's more fitting for a community park, and this being a neighborhood park, potentially consider elements that are appropriate for that neighborhood site. And maybe along those veins, the comment being to consider the possibility of including a full court basketball court, and we'll look at that in just a minute. There was a comment about the preferring option 2 with the play area away from. John, you have a comment, or just you're muted?
I was saying goodbye to Jason in the chat. He said I'm going to head out, so I was just waving to him. Sorry.
No worries. So the play area being away from the highway, a nice buffer for safety purposes, and then the sport court being located closer to the highway, as we talked about in this group last month, just the associations of noise and that being a more appropriate location for that. And I think in the end, really there was a strong preference for almost all of the components shown in option 2 from the council. And then reviewing the feedback that we got at the open house, we also gave a comment card that folks that attended could fill out, and that was also mailed out to the neighbors. So we got a number of comment cards back, and it was honestly, it was pretty amazing. The feedback across the board was almost all uniformly in favor of option 2. Typically, when we present these options in this way, we'll get a lot of mixed responses of people pulling from each of the options, but something about option 2 that was really working. So in zooming in to that option, looking at with the basketball court, what it would take. Originally in option 2, we showed pickleball in this location. This, we dropped in a full court just to see how much additional space that would take up. I'll delete this for 1 second. So that's, you can see behind that pink zone was the original pickleball court. And it's space-wise, it definitely fits in this location. We have to get into a little bit more of the details to see what the grading would look like, because obviously east to west, it's going to require in pretty much all directions a pretty flat surface for that basketball for a full court. We've reached out to a couple of vendors regarding just the cost implications and design implications for covering this structure, and ultimately reporting back to council with those findings. But just to reiterate, there was just a very strong support for the location of the shelter, the location adjacent to the play area in this option, the way that the paths are working within the topography of the site, and just the rest of the amenities as well. Some of the neighbors that showed up, specific comments that they had were they really supported maintaining as many of the existing trees as possible. So we're really working to keep all the existing trees that are in healthy, good shape within the final plan. And I'm trying to think if there are any other comments from the open house, but we should be getting a few more comments from the neighbors in the coming weeks from the mailer that was distributed. Wanted to change gears a little bit, and part of the next step is getting into some of the more detailed discussions about what each of these elements on the site will look like, what the feel, not just where they happen on the site, but the play. What type of play do we want to provide at Deer Point Park? And I think to start that discussion, we've shown several different types of play, potential play equipments or styles of playgrounds here on this sheet. Nature play on the left, a more modern approach in the center, and then definitely combining the two on the right side. And then the bottom row is kind of zooming into different features of that could be included in either nature or a modern type of inclusive play, or focusing on that, or a large climbing element. And then obviously on the right side is there anything that we're missing? Is there anything that, whether it's in the network of Sandy's parks or just within this park, that we should be considering? So I think as a starting point with these images in front of us, I just wanted to open it up and get some feedback from this group on desires of play equipment.
I have 2 kids with special needs, so I'm always a big proponent for as much inclusive play as possible. I'd definitely like to see it tie into the other elements. I don't think it would have to be like 100% an inclusive situation, but I'd love to see at least some elements in there.
Good.
I have a little bit of experience with the freestanding structure in the bottom center, the kind of the rope structure there. Had one of those down in Ashland, very popular, but we did have problems with the wear points that would actually, kind of rub and rub through and expose the cable on the inside, and we ended up having to replace that relatively quickly. I think it lasted about 2 years, and then we had to replace the netting to it because of the safety issues associated. It was extremely popular, not just with kids. We had adults all over that thing constantly too. So, the wear and tear, it just didn't hold up as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, Don. We could also look at other ones that might provide a similar experience, or technology on these things tend to change pretty quickly. as well. If there is still interest in having something that's kind of climbable, I think we can do that. The kind of the genesis of this image was after looking at some of the other things, I was telling Brian, well, is there something that we could do that would have kind of a wow moment that maybe your parks don't have? And so we were thinking, okay, what could be really interesting? And so that's how this image came about. So it could certainly be another type of a climbing feature as well.
When you guys think about the other parks in Sandy, is there anything that you think, boy, it'd be really great if we could think about incorporating that here that's not, maybe not as either not present at all or not enough of in other parks? I think definitely the inclusive play, that's a comment very well received, and we can really work to incorporate that.
Yeah, I think that's important to do. I just don't think we've done a very good job, in the past as far as incorporating opportunities for all to participate. I'd be curious if there was some way to zoom in a little bit on the upper right-hand corner. Okay, so that's more of a traditional. And then the center also looks like a lot of fun to me too.
I think that is one of those jumping elements. Kurt, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
The thing right in the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you see the kid because they're up above the screen there. But yeah,
So it launched the kid up out of the picture, huh?
They're hanging from the tree. I guess let me probe and ask kind of this question. We used a lot of kind of nature play kind of themed elements at Cedar Park. Certainly integrated inclusive elements. When you think about this park, there's a lot of existing trees. Do you think that we should do something similar as to what we did at Cedar Park in terms of kind of nature play, inclusive, or do you think this park and play area should be different as we begin to think about your existing parks or future parks? Do you think it's important that they all kind of are a little bit within the same realm, or do you think we should really strive for maybe integrating new and special elements at each park as they become designed?
I think personally, as a mom who has many young children right now, I would like to have diverse options of where to take them, because maybe they get bored with the nature play at one park and we can head to a more modern park that's 5 minutes further or something like that. I do like, of the 3 top options, I like the combination a lot. I like that it's going to blend in, but not necessarily be just strictly a nature park.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the same thing, just having the options of like different parks around the city, because I feel like that's the draw. Like, ooh, I haven't gone there and they have this. And oh, I want to go over here because they have that. Like, I used to just come to the the splash pad because they have the splash pad. But yet I would go down 5 minutes down the road that I could walk to just a modern type park. Really simple. Just kind of met the need of a different, different scenarios. But I agree. I think that something different is good because it draws from one park to another. And I agree. I love the combination. I don't want something to stand out. I don't like flashy though. So I do like having, if you want to keep the nature of the trees and trying to kind of keep that, at the forefront too. If that's what people are wanting, I feel like you will have a nice blend if you have a combination.
That's
Just my
good.
2 cents. Yep.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
totally agree with that too. I think that having the diversity amongst all of our parks really encourages people to go explore all the parks instead of just, oh, here's the, you know, the same old everywhere. And so it's nice to have options for people and a reason for people to visit a different park that's outside their neighborhood, maybe outside their comfort zone a little bit. And I too agree about the combination of nature and modern. I think that that's a nice blend. I think they'll get plenty of the tree elements and the nature elements that at Cedar Park, or at base camp at Cedar Park. I guess maybe we need to call this base camp at Deer Park with an extra E on the end. So, it's I think going to be a nice diverse setup there.
Thanks, Don. I think we have our homework cut out for us, and we'll start to think about how we can implement that. Last thing we wanted to touch on is the overall project schedule. And this is an update from, I think it was back in January that we presented the original schedule. And at that time, we were really more tied to the potential development of the adjacent property and some requirements that developer had on him. And the timeline of that development has eased up a little bit. So I guess just originally we were targeting end of 2024 completion date. And really once we got into that and started looking at what it would take to go through the whole public engagement phase, design and documentation, and then particularly the permitting, it was a really tight timeline. So everything is really pointing towards just spreading that out and giving us a little bit of breathing room, which I think is a good thing all around. Ultimately, we're still in this yellow phase here of the programming, design, public outreach, wrapping up next month with another meeting with the council and the public open house on the 18th that's been mentioned. Then we really dive into the construction drawings and ultimately start permitting in early fall. A little bit of break late winter for things to dry out, and starting construction, this blue bar, early next spring, and then targeting a opening of the park mid-fall. So again, just stretching that timeline out a little bit, but I think it's really beneficial for the design of it, the public engagement, and also just the overall construction of it as well. Any questions on what we've presented tonight?
Well, I, for one, am very excited about it. I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to our inventory.
Yeah, we were obviously involved or continue to be involved with Cedar Park. So it was fun to start off the conversation tonight with some of the nuts and bolts of that and wrapping that project up in a design way, and then step back into the larger scale discussion with this project. And we too are really excited about this neighborhood park. Thank you everybody for your time. Appreciate a chance to meet with you and get your feedback.
Thank you.
Rochelle, did we give you everything you need on that?
No, I really appreciate the Parks Board feedback and Lango Hansen for being here again. And that is exactly what we needed. And like Brian said, I think they've got their homework cut out for them to incorporate some of the information they received tonight from this group. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, now for the fun stuff. Rochelle, we have
Okay.
a special guest with us tonight.
We sure do. Yes, I'm so excited to be able to introduce Carolina Smallwood. She joined our team in November of 2022, and she's here tonight to provide a presentation on all the hard work she does as our client services coordinator for the Park and Recreation Department. And Carolina has over 18 years of senior living expertise under her belt. And I can honestly say from what I've witnessed, Carolina has a passion for what she does and boundless enthusiasm and an unwavering commitment to service. So she creates memorable activities for our seniors, and she tends to their every needs with compassion. And Carolina embodies the essence of excellence in client care. And I just want to end by saying, you know, thank you, Carolina, for being part of our team. And I'm so glad you're here this evening. So you can teach us more about your work and what you do and the positive impacts that you have on our community. So I'm going to hand that over to Carolina. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rochelle. That was really kind. All right, I need to share my screen with you guys. And the took a while. Sorry about that. All right, can everyone see that? Great. Okay. There we go. That's a little better. Rochelle said, my name is Carolina. I'm the client service coordinator at the center. So tonight we're gonna go on an adventure. I'm gonna talk about senior services, the services that are underneath the Older American Act, that's OAA. Those are funds federally that come into us. And then I'm gonna go at the end and talk about the fundraising that we are doing at the center this month for March for Meals. All right, OAA. Underneath Clackamas County, it's federal money that comes in for different services that we offer. That's Meals on Wheels, transportation, some of my case management stuff that I do for the clients, a call that comes in, information assistance. We did respite, energy assistance. So we'll go into some of those. Transportation. Last year we had 2,700 individual rides. That's for our outings. That's for shopping shuttle. Mark does that on Thursdays, or scheduled rides for outings, coming to the center even for bingo day or cards and puzzles. This is our boundary. All of you guys know, I'm sure all of you guys are aware of Sandy residents in and out of district. For Meals on Wheels, Clackamas County, our boundary is very large. The yellow over here is what we service. Over here is Estacada Senior Center. We go into Damascus, we go into Boring, we go up the mountain. We have a very large service area. Yeah. Meals on Wheels, currently we have 60 plus seniors that we're serving Meals on Wheels to twice a week. Last year, we had an estimated 17,000 meals. Meals on Wheels has been, is more than a meal, it's social interaction. Some of the seniors we service are homebound seniors that aren't driving, possibly bedbound, medically frail seniors. And so it's a visit, it's social interaction as well as a meal. Case management. Anyone within Meals on Wheels is on my case management list, where I provide a relationship. I offer resources. I help connect them to the community at large, to resources, events that we do at the center. Information and assistance. This is a wide variety of things. So it's anywhere from a walk-in to the center because someone needs resources like housekeeping, caregiving, or it's a phone call. And these are all things that I document and that are reimbursable through the Older Americans Act. On average, let's see, I said here 16 contacts, but just this week alone, it's Wednesday, I've had 20 contacts. And those are clients, those are information assistants, lots of different things. Christmas food boxes, firewood, adoption paperwork. Someone called me once and needed to learn how to get a marriage license because they'd lived together so long but wanted to get a marriage license. It's lots of different things. Reassurance. Reassurance is when is several things. Seniors that come to classes and then all of a sudden they stop coming to exercise class. And you know, we check in on them. Reassurance is Meals on Wheels client that's been on hold because they were in the hospital and they've come back from a care facility. It's a card, it's a call, it's me going to their home and doing a visit and talking with them to see what resources they might need. It's a listening ear a lot of times for homebound seniors. Energy assistance. I'm pretty proud of this one. Energy assistance right now, PGE just increased their rates, and energy assistance is helping seniors with their energy bill. Clackamas County sets aside money for seniors, individuals with disabilities, and children, households with children that are low income, and they help pay their PGE bill. Last year, I was able to help 109 households with their PGE bill. This year alone, this physical year, the contract year, I'm already halfway there. And so that number probably will go up this next year. There's just such a high need for help financially with PGE bills. Evidence-based and wellness classes. We offer this. Bonnie Newman is awesome. She's been at this center for many years. She does her Tai Chi class at the center, and it focuses on strength, flexibility, and balance, which is so important for seniors. And again, this is a Older American Act federally funded program. We can get reimbursement for this through Clackamas County. Senior services. These are some of the items that are not underneath our OAA contract, but that we offer at the senior center. We're underneath the Parks and Rec umbrella. So our classes, our fitness classes, art classes, clay class. Don's wife, Linda, does a clay class. Our trips, we do trips every month, 6 of them. Events. Last year we did a veterans event. We honored our veterans in our community. Tiana was honored. We had several police officers that were honored. We offer classes. I've partnered with Mount Hood Hospice, and we've been offering grief classes. We also partnered with Embold Credit Union, and we're doing financial education classes at the center. And then the last piece is this month, we're fundraising for Meals on Wheels program. That's our March for Meals campaign. If you've been on social media at all for this city's social media pages, you will have seen these flyers. So on the right, we have the different restaurants that are partnering with us and giving a part of the proceeds to our Meals on Wheels program. Tonight is Smoky Hearth. This Friday will be Scoop and Swirl. And then on the left, you'll see another aspect of the campaign is our raffle basket. I have 5 baskets, wonderful donations from different community businesses, and then also non-community businesses. Cannon Beach here with some of John's friends got us a really great basket for Cannon Beach Escape. Yeah, I kind of talked fast. I know we've gone over our time with the meeting. Anyone have questions? Awesome.
Can I say wow?
Yeah, well, not just a question, but a comment. It's
Yeah.
easy for us to get caught up in the park design, but everything else we do, including your work, is really critical.
Thank you, Don.
It was great to hear what you do, honestly, like in detail, and some of the things I actually didn't even know about. I've read a lot, but I didn't know about, so that's awesome. Lots of questions, but I'll save it. I'm just soaking it all in. That's really cool
Yeah.
though. I love the Meals on Wheels stuff, so that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alex. I know I talked kind of fast. Any questions, feel free to send an email through John or Rochelle. I'd be happy to answer those. I'm kind of a hub point, what I tell my seniors. I'm a hub point for our community at large. Any senior, for your parents that need resources. So,
That's awesome.
Can I ask one quick question?
of course,
Are all senior centers similarly designed like this? Like, would they all offer similar resources? No. Okay.
no. Clackamas County is great, and a lot of our senior centers have a client service coordinator. In Multnomah County, you have senior centers that do not have client service coordinators. Their Meals on Wheels program in Multnomah, for instance, Gresham, is run differently. Meals on Wheels is done by Meals on Wheels corporate. And so they have client service coordinators not at the center. So
Okay.
at
I work
Sandy,
in Washington County at
okay,
a hospital, and so that's why I was asking, because I get a lot of interface with seniors. So
yeah,
it's good stuff to pass on.
yeah. And so I'd be happy to find out who your person would be in your area. I don't mind at all. I've done this for seniors in our community who have siblings. Their sister lives in Southern Oregon, and I found their senior center and who they need to call for Meals on Wheels. So I'd be happy to do that for you, Kim.
I suspect Elsie Stewart Center is a big one for you out in the Washington County area.
Thanks, Don. Thank you.
The Sandy residents are pretty lucky in that the senior center is under the umbrella of the city. And so the city of Sandy also provides funding for our community, for our seniors, Clackamas County as well, where like Hoodland doesn't, Estacada doesn't fall underneath the city umbrella. So, yeah.
And Carolina,
Yeah.
just real quick to jump in, sorry, John, to cut you off, but you know, like she just talked about, there's really 3 funding sources: general fund, the county, and then the sponsorship and fundraising. And Carolina has found a hidden superpower when it comes to fundraising and sponsorship. It's been wonderful. Once we wrap up this leg of the stool, if you will, the fundraising sponsorship side, I would love to have Carolina back and report on the numbers, because she's doing a really great job at that. And that does help with the March for Meals. We, as a team, we ate at Smoky Hearth today. And so definitely it's a skill that Carolina is very, very good at. So well done. Way to step into an area that you were unsure of and conquering it. So well done.
I was just going to say similar things, that oftentimes I feel like the client service coordinator for our position here is kind of the unsung hero of what we do for our seniors. A lot of time you think Parks and Recreation, you're thinking trips and dances and all these classes, but the case management and the reassurance and what she does on a daily basis inside of her job is vitally important and not necessarily always understood, which is why we thought it was so important that she come and provide that information. But also just wanted to say that she does so much more. We have a really good team here, and I would say oftentimes me and Caroline will look at each other and be like, your job is so wild sometimes. She spins so many plates at once. She'll make a flyer on Canva for a youth basketball league and then turn around 5 minutes later and have a closed door conversation with the family who's just lost a loved one, and then turn around and sign someone up for Meals on Wheels program, and then turn around and drive to someone's house for a home visit, and then come back to run a bingo game. And it's pretty constant. And we're very, very lucky to have her in this position, and lucky to have this position in general. So just thank you for being here tonight and being here always.
Very nice. Okay, Rochelle, what else you got for us?
Well, I think we're up to onto staff updates. So I'll just give a quick update and then I'll hand it over to the team. I'm just going to quickly share some photos with you all. I thought if you guys can you see this PowerPoint here? Okay, perfect. I just wanted to give you a quick update on the demolition of the aquatic facility in the old Cedar Ridge Old Cedar Ridge Middle School. That was a hard one to say tonight. But here you can see with pictures, this is the demolition of the skate park. And if you go out there now, this is all covered with straw. And here is the team removing the track. So that has come out. You can see here, this is a view from the front of the aquatic facility as they were taking apart the aquatic facility. And this is a picture from inside the facility. And surprisingly, the demolition is a rather meticulous process where they take it down in a way that is safe for the school next door. And so very methodical process. You can see here, this is where the facility used to stand. For reference, this is the old Cedar Ridge Middle School. And this is inside. Once all the exterior walls of the old middle school have come down, you can see the basketball hoops there. Again, they dismantle everything pretty carefully. And then we end with a view of the middle school has been demoed. One thing I would like to point out is the parks team did salvage a Japanese maple that was in the front of the school that was planted in 2006 for Tiana, help me out with a little bit of the details, but we were able to salvage that, save that, and we will be finding a place to plant that at Cedar Park. So for a young woman who passed away in 2006 in a car accident. So
In memory of Clarice Benson.
thank you, Tiana. Thanks. And this is a picture of just a few days ago. You can see there's just a few concrete walls left over. They are removing the existing concrete. That will be gone in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll be starting the grading process and the compaction process. We do need a series of dry weather and warm weather. And as of now, we are on time to complete the project end of April. However, it is weather dependent. So crossing our fingers that the weather stays good and we can get this project wrapped up here within the next 30 days. And then real quick, Sandy Bluff Dog Park. This is just a picture of the exciting revelation that we're putting in the fence to reconfigure the small dog park. So that work is coming underway. Tiana and I were actually out there today, and they've even made further progress where they have, they're starting to put the fencing on. So that's a project that we're also working on. And I'm going to hand it over to Tiana, but she's been working on the Cedar Creek Trail, and she has a Tickle Creek update, but those guys have been working tirelessly to open Tickle Creek, and that's taking experts, it's taking partnerships with nonprofit local groups, and Farm has been extremely helpful, all while simultaneously putting the final touches on our new trail for our grand opening. So I'll hand it over to Tiana, but kudos to Tiana and her team.
There we go. Good evening, everybody. So I just want to remind you, I think you've all received an invitation, but we will be celebrating and having a grand opening for Cedar Creek Trail on April 6th at noon. For anybody that has concerns about trying to get down that pretty steep hill to get to where the trailhead will be from the Sandy River Park side, we will have accommodations available. Please just reach out to the community center and we can coordinate that for you. Here are some photos. This is the new bridge that is down on the trail. It's beautiful. And my team out there this week, we did sustain storm damage to this trail in the last storm. So here's the guys just trying to put in the wayfinding signs and getting tree hazards off the trail, and can't wait to welcome all of you down there. We also were able to sell the bleachers from the aquatic center this week, and they left yesterday. We made $1,600 for our department through that sale. The team has been super busy lately. They were able to harvest these trees, and you see in the buckets, from the demo site there along next to what we refer to as the bunker or sandy net. And we repurposed them and gave them a home over next to Hamilton Ridge, where we lost a tree during the storm, unfortunately through a citizen's home. But so to help stabilize that hillside, we have planted trees out there this week on that hillside. We have also added a new anti-slip strip to Fantasy Forest Playground to try to prevent slips, trips, and falls in there, because just with the aging structure, it is slippery no matter how much we try to clean and care for it. So we're testing these out, and we're hopeful that this will help prevent kiddos from slipping and falling. And then, as Rochelle mentioned, I spent several hours today on Tickle Creek Trail with Damien from Oregon Tree Care, helping flag and identify hazard trees out there. We identified 15 trees that either need to be reduced or removed to prevent hazards and future damage. We are working to reach a contract. I think we're very close, and we will see more work happening out there soon. City staff will be out there tomorrow morning, starting to clear the down trees next to Bridge 1. And the Ant Farm crew has done a lot of work out there already for us. So if you see the picture in the bottom left where in the snow covered, all the trees across the trail, that is damaged, right after the storm. And then the middle picture here is what is left. This is something that the youth crew wasn't able to take care of for us. You can't see it here in this photo, but this tree is hung up pretty stuck in the crotch of another tree. And so this is one where we're going to need some technical assistance and a climber to come out and help get this back down on the ground. And then this top photo is just another example of some of the hazards that we're dealing with out there and why we are taking our time to make sure that we get every risk and hazard abated before we reopen to the public. I think that's all my updates for you. We are just working away out there trying to keep everything safe and beautiful.
Very nice.
John, would you like anything you'd like to add?
Sure, I'll be short and sweet. Really, when I was thinking about talking about you, I was going to talk about the March for Meals, but Carolina already eloquently gave us all the updates about that. So thank you. I would just say, to piggyback on, I'm proud of this, that we also put a pool table up for public auction similar to the bleachers. And at the same time, Ant Farm put out a post saying they needed a pool table. And within 8 hours, our public auction closed on the pool table with no bids, because it is 72 years old and has been well used. And so I was able to reach out to Ant Farm, and while we did not get $1,600 for it, we were able to repurpose that pool table to their new youth center that's across the street from their cafe, which was pretty just serendipitous timing. It felt good to walk into their building and be like, I got what you want. And so that was nice. And they came in and removed that. We had our silent disco. It's our second annual silent disco on Friday, where we served almost 50 teens. Silent disco, you get your headphones in, you get your different channels that go just to your headphones, and kids were dancing and playing foosball and playing ping pong and eating pizza, and that was wonderful. And yeah, really, we are just winding down on Mountain Storm. Our jamboree is on Saturday, and then we'll have completed another successful year of our youth basketball services. That, along with kind of what we talked about with the parks and the logos of what we've been doing. And thank you all.
Hey, John, I just want to chime in because we're doing Mountain Storm. You guys changed it up this year and it's been phenomenal. So just kudos. I have felt so at ease with this season that I'm like, I am not stressing about anything. Everything's smooth. Everything was great. So just thank you. It's been really great.
I would love to wear most of that, but I'd be lying. Carol and
Amy. Yeah, they did great.
Are incredible. That's two people full-time working a league of about 300 people across 6 different gyms dealing with weather. And they take 98.5% of all of that on.
Please pass that on, because last year was a different experience, and this year I was like, oh, we might be in for the same type of experience, and it's been night and day different, and so much easier on, I think, us as parents or even the kids, honestly. So
thank you for that feedback. That feels good, and it speaks to what
it's our last season, unfortunately. We're moving on to middle school basketball, but yeah, it was great. It was so good. Super excited.
I'll second what Alex just said. It's been much better this season, and I think as glitchy as the Mojo app is, it's also a better option than just group texting for sure.
Oh, so helpful. And even to have your schedules on there. Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, we learned a lot and we took like your end of the year feedback form. So make sure if you talk to your
Nice.
teams, like we listen to that feedback and we try really hard to learn from you
Yeah.
all about what's going to make this be successful. So
I mean, honestly, John, everything that I heard last year around feedback of what should change did change. So, I mean, that was so cool. Like, really, I was excited.
well,
Like, my son didn't realize how excited I was. I was like, trust me, this is great news. So, yeah, it was very good.
this is the best meeting ever.
And on a high note, right? Awesome.
Well, all things need to come to an end, no matter how much they're fun to have these meetings. So, Rochelle, do you have anything else for us?
Just one thing, because I always tend to end this way, but kind of the unsung hero in our group that we don't mention quite enough is Chelsea. And I just want to say thank you to Chelsea too. Chelsea's the glue behind everything as the executive assistant. She definitely keeps John in order, which is necessary. And just kidding, John. And then now I just have to thank her, and she organizes the meetings and the meeting minutes and the videos. And Chelsea's become what I would consider an expert in public contracting. And so I just want to make sure Chelsea gets the recognition that she deserves too. And it's a good team. And John, I think you're wonderful. I don't think Chelsea has to keep you in line. And that is all I have, Don. Thank you for letting me say that.
All righty. Well, anybody else have any comments, questions, or concerns they'd like to share? Not seeing a whole lot of hands go up, so let's call this meeting done and officially close, and everybody have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Good night, everybody.